I flung open the door of the hotel room and saw my naked, cheating wife in the arms of my boss. My world collapsed in an instant. The woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with, wrapped around another man like some cheap prize. And not just any man. Nathan Harper. My boss. The man who shook my hand every morning, who smiled in my face while screwing my wife behind my back. Carrie shrieked, "Mick, it's not what you think." Not what I think. She was sprawled across him, sweat glistening on her skin, sheets tangled around their legs. The air in the room was thick with betrayal, and the scent of their filth made my stomach churn. For a moment, the world slowed. A suffocating silence swallowed the room. Then, rage. I didn't say a word. I walked straight up to Nathan and slammed my fist into his jaw. The sickening crack of bone echoed through the room. He groaned, falling back against the bed like the coward he was. Another punch. This one for every lie Carrie ever told me. Another. For every late-night, girls' trip that was really a rendezvous in some seedy hotel. Another. For the man who smiled in my face while betraying me behind my back. Nathan grunted in pain, shielding his face, but I wasn't done. I grabbed the collar of his crumpled dress shirt, yanking him to his feet before landing a final, brutal punch. He slumped against the nightstand, blood trickling from his nose. Only then did I turn to Carrie. She had pulled the sheet up to her chest, eyes wide with fake innocence. She was a damn good liar, I'd give her that. I leaned in, my voice barely a whisper, but sharp as a knife. "Pack your things, Carrie. You've just destroyed your life." Tears welled in her eyes, but I knew better. They weren't real. She wasn't sorry. She was just sorry she got caught. But this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because this was only the first step of my revenge. I didn't stay to watch her fake tears. I turned on my heel and walked out, fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. My heart was hammering, my breath coming fast. The world outside felt wrong, too bright, too normal. How could people just be walking around, living their lives, while mine had just been ripped apart? I stalked to my car, throwing the door open and sliding inside. My hands were shaking. My vision blurred with a mix of rage and something else, something I refused to call pain. Carrie didn't deserve my pain. She didn't deserve anything. I slammed my fist into the steering wheel. Once. Twice. My knuckles throbbed, but I barely felt it. The image of her in that bed with Nathan burned into my mind like a brand. Her skin on his. His hands gripping her hips. The way she shrieked my name, as if she actually had the nerve to think I'd believe whatever lie she was about to spew. Not what I think. I'd seen enough. I took a long breath, shoving my emotions down, deep where they couldn't touch me. I needed to think. I needed a plan. And most of all, I needed to make sure Carrie regretted every single second of her betrayal. I pulled my phone from my pocket, hands steady now. There was only one person I needed to call. "Logan," I said when my best friend picked up. My voice was low, controlled. Too controlled. There was a pause. "What happened?" "Meet me at O'Malley's." It was our bar. The place we went to celebrate, to talk, to plan. Logan didn't ask questions. He just said, "Be there in 10. I threw the car into drive, my mind already working through the next steps. The pain was still there, buried under layers of rage, but I didn't let it take over. Not yet. I walked into O'Malley's and spotted Logan at our usual booth. He took one look at me and knew. F******, he muttered. "It's Carrie, isn't it?" I sat down, my movements too slow, too deliberate. I was holding on to control with both hands. "She's been screwing Nathan. The words felt foreign in my mouth, like they belonged to someone else. Someone whose life had just been set on fire. Logan stiffened. Your boss? I nodded. For a long second, he just stared at me. Then, with a sharp exhale, he reached for his beer and took a long pull. I hope you broke the bastard's nose. Probably. I rolled my shoulders. Didn't stay to check. His lips curled in something that wasn't quite a smile. Good. A waitress came by, but I barely heard what she said. I ordered a whiskey. Something strong. Something that would burn. Logan watched me closely. So what's the plan? That was the question, wasn't it? I took a sip of my drink, the warmth of it spreading through my chest, and let a slow smile stretch across my face. Oh, I murmured, she's about to learn what real betrayal feels like. Because Carrie had taken something from me. My trust. My love. My damn dignity. And I was going to take something from her in return. 2 hours later, I was parked outside our house, no, my house. Carrie's car was in the driveway, lights on inside. She was waiting. Probably rehearsing some bull ****** speech about how it was a mistake, how it didn't mean anything, how she still loved me. I let her wait. Then, when I was good and ready, I stepped inside. She was sitting on the couch, eyes puffy from fake crying. When she saw me, she stood quickly, wringing her hands like the pathetic liar she was. Mick, please, just listen to me. I held up a hand. She fell silent. I walked past her, straight to the liquor cabinet, and poured myself another drink. I took my time, feeling her eyes on me, the nervous energy radiating from her. Finally, I turned. Go ahead, I said, leaning against the counter. Tell me how it's not what I think. She swallowed hard. I messed up. It was a mistake, Mick. A huge mistake. It didn't mean anything, I swear. I laughed. Actually laughed. Didn't mean anything? So what, you just tripped and landed on his. Mick, stop. Her voice broke. It's not like that. I love you. I was just. I don't know. Lonely. You've been so busy with work, and Nathan, he was just there. It was never about him. It was about us. I let her words hang in the air. Then, I set my glass down, took a slow step forward, and looked her right in the eyes. You don't love me. My voice was calm. Deadly. You love attention. You love the thrill of sneaking around. You love knowing you can lie to my face and get away with it. Tears streamed down her cheeks. I didn't give a damn. Mick, please. You disgust me. I grabbed my jacket, turned for the door. I'll send my lawyer your way in the morning. She gasped. What? You're not serious. I paused, looking back at her one last time. Oh, I'm dead serious, Carrie. And then, I walked out. But this wasn't over yet. She thought she could betray me and walk away unscathed. She had no idea what was coming next. I didn't go home. Not to that house. Not to the place where she had slept in my bed while lying through her teeth. Instead, I drove. Nowhere in particular, just miles of open road and the sound of my own ragged breathing. My hands were tight on the wheel, my knuckles still raw from Nathan's face. I should have felt satisfied. I had knocked him down, left him bleeding. But it wasn't enough. Not even close. The betrayal kept replaying in my head, over and over like a movie stuck on repeat. Carrie's breathless gasp, the way she scrambled for the sheets, Nathan's dumb, stunned face as he realized he was about to get his ass handed to him. Her pathetic excuses. Mick, it's not what you think. As if I were some idiot who couldn't put two and two together. As if I hadn't already seen the signs. The late nights. The guarded phone. The sudden interest in wearing lingerie to bed but never touching me. I knew. I just didn't want to believe it. My phone buzzed in the passenger seat. I glanced down. Carrie. Calling, again and again. I let it ring. Then, on the third call, I picked up. Silence for a second. Then, her voice, small, trembling. Fake. Mick, please come home. We need to talk. I exhaled slowly. No, Carrie. You need to listen. Mick, Shut up. The words came out cold. Sharp. You don't get to talk right now. You had your fun, right? Thought I'd never find out? Thought you could play your little games and keep me in the dark? Mick, please, You're pathetic. I cut her off again. And you're gonna get exactly what you deserve. Her breath hitched. What does that mean? I smiled. A dark, humorless thing. Let her wonder. Then I hung up. I pulled into Logan's driveway 5 minutes later. The front door swung open before I even knocked. Whiskey? Logan asked, already pouring. I took the glass, downed it in one go. It burned, but not as much as the rage in my chest. I need to ruin her, I said, voice flat. Logan leaned back, arms crossed. He didn't look surprised. I'm listening. I paced the living room, thoughts racing. Carrie thought she could betray me and just cry her way out of it. No. She needed to feel this. She needed to understand exactly what she had done. She doesn't get to walk away from this clean, I muttered. She gets everything through me. The car? In my name. The house? Mine. Her credit card? I pay the bills. I turned to Logan. I'm cutting her off. Every single thing I've ever given her, gone. Logan grinned. That's cold. She deserves cold. I grabbed my phone, pulling up our shared bank account. With a few taps, I transferred everything out of it. Every last cent. Then I took it a step further. I pulled up the mortgage, the car payments, the utilities, every bill tied to me. And I shut them all down. She wanted to play games? Fine. Let's see how she liked losing. My phone rang again. Carrie. I smirked, letting it ring. She was finding out. Then, a text popped up. Carrie, what the hell, Mick? I laughed. She was panicking. Good. Another text. Carrie, you canceled my card? I can't even get gas. Me, not my problem. Maybe Nathan can pay for you now. I saw the little dots appear. Then disappear. Then reappear. She was typing, deleting, typing again. Then another call. This time, I answered. You're such a child, she shrieked the moment the line connected. I chuckled. And you're a lying, cheating WH******. Guess we both learned something today. You can't just cut me off, she screamed. I need money. You needed to keep your legs closed. Silence. Then, in a whisper, you're punishing me. Damn right I am. She inhaled sharply. I could hear the tremble in her breath. She wasn't sorry for cheating. She was sorry for getting caught. You're a bastard, she spat. And you're alone. Then I hung up. Logan whistled low. Remind me never to piss you off. I exhaled, feeling lighter than I had all night. I'm not done yet. Logan leaned forward, curiosity in his eyes. What's next? I smirked. She's about to find out what real humiliation feels like. Because Carrie hadn't just betrayed me. She had mocked me. Lied to me. Disrespected me. And now? Now, it was my turn. The next morning, I woke up early. Not because I couldn't sleep, I slept just fine knowing Carrie was probably tossing and turning, panicking over her new reality. No, I woke up early because I had a job to finish. I grabbed my phone, scrolled through my contacts, and made the first call of the day. "Hey, this is Mick Lawson," I said smoothly when the receptionist answered. "I need to cancel the joint insurance policy under my wife's name." "Certainly, Mr. Lawson. Any reason for the cancellation?" I smiled. "She's no longer my problem." One down. I moved on to the next call. Credit cards? Cancelled. The car? Repossessed. I made sure of that. Carrie didn't have a dime to her name, because every dime she had came from me. Then I went a step further. Nathan Harper. My boss. The same bastard I had left bleeding on the floor last night. The man who thought he could have everything, my wife, my respect, my silence. He had another thing coming. I called HR at work, keeping my voice calm and professional. "Hey, it's Mick. Just a heads up, you might want to check into Nathan Harper's business expenses. Pretty sure you'll find some discrepancies." The woman on the other end hesitated. "Discrepancies?" I leaned back, smirking. "Let's just say he's been very generous with the company card, hotels, fancy dinners, entertainment. Oh, and if you look a little closer, you might notice the reservations under different names. One of them being my soon-to-be ex-wife's." Silence. "Then, I'll escalate this immediately." Nathan was about to have a very bad day. By noon, I was sitting at O'Malley's again, nursing a beer and waiting for Logan to show up. My phone buzzed. "Carrie." I let it ring. Then came the texts. "Carrie, where is my CR? Carrie, why is my card declined? Carrie, Mick, I swear to God, answer me." I chuckled, taking another sip. Let her scream. Let her throw her little tantrum. She wanted independence so bad. Here it was. Then, another call. Not Carrie this time. Nathan. I picked up, grinning. "Nathan. How's the face?" "You son of a b**********, he hissed. His voice was strained, like he was speaking through clenched teeth. I swirled my drink lazily. "Something wrong?" "You got me fired," he snapped. "Corporate just escorted me out of the building." I feigned shock. "Oh no. That's terrible. What happened?" ****ing know what happened. They pulled my expense reports, questioned me about Carrie, and now my wife is threatening to leave me." I laughed outright at that. "Sounds like a personal problem, buddy. You think this is funny?" I leaned forward, my tone dropping. "Oh, I don't think it's funny. I think it's justice." Nathan cursed, but I could hear it in his voice. He was scared. His perfect life? Crumbling. Just like he thought he could do to mine. "Stay the hell away from me," he snapped. "Don't worry," I said. "I have no interest in talking to you again." "But Carrie?" I smirked. "She's all yours now. Have fun dealing with that mess." I hung up before he could respond. Logan slid into the booth across from me just as I set the phone down. "That was fast," he commented, nodding toward my empty glass. I grinned. "Oh, we're just getting started." Logan laughed, shaking his head. "Man, remind me never to cheat on you." The rest of the day passed in a blur. Calls from Carrie went unanswered. She tried showing up at Logan's, banging on the door, screaming my name. We ignored her. Then, that night, the final cherry on top. I logged onto Facebook. Clicked Create Post. And I let the whole damn world know. To everyone who knows Carrie Lawson, she is now single. Why? Because she spent months sneaking around with my boss, Nathan Harper. But don't worry, they're both unemployed now, so they'll have plenty of time to think about their mistakes. Wishing them both the best in their new, miserable lives. Post. And just like that, the bomb dropped. Minutes later, my phone blew up. Comments. Reactions. Shares. Messages pouring in. Some from friends, some from people who just wanted to see the drama unfold. Some from people who apparently already suspected Carrie was a lying, cheating piece of trash. And then, one final call. Carrie. I answered this time. Her voice was raw, furious. Are you out of your ing mind? I leaned back in my chair, grinning. No, Carrie. I'm just done being the idiot who trusted you. You humiliated me. I laughed. You did that to yourself. She sucked in a breath. You think this is over? You think you can just destroy my life and walk away? I let a slow, satisfied smile spread across my face. Oh, Carrie, I murmured. You already destroyed your own life. I just made sure everyone saw it. And then, I hung up. Let her scream. Let her cry. She had made her choices. And now? She could live with them. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. Exactly as I wanted. My phone was flooded with messages, some from friends, some from nosy acquaintances who had seen my post, and some from people I barely even knew, all offering their opinions on the disaster that was now Carrie's life. But the ones that interested me the most? The ones from Carrie herself. Carrie, you are ing monster. Carrie, how dare you put our business online like that? Carrie, I can't even go to the grocery store without people staring. Carrie, fix this. I leaned back in bed, sipping my coffee as I read through them. Fix this? Oh, Carrie. She still didn't get it. She wasn't in control anymore. I had barely finished my first cup when the doorbell rang. Logan, standing there with a knowing smirk. Tell me you saw the fallout, he said, stepping inside. Oh, I saw it. I tossed him my phone, letting him scroll through the messages. He whistled low. She's losing it, he muttered. You really did it. She's got nowhere to go. Not my problem, I said simply. Logan snorted. You say that, but she's not the type to go down quietly. I already knew that. Carrie wasn't going to slink away in shame. She was going to fight. And that was fine. Because I had one last move left to play. By noon, I had made my way back to the house. Not to see Carrie, she didn't live here anymore. I had already started the legal process of kicking her out. But I needed to grab a few things, and I had no doubt she'd be lurking around. Sure enough, the moment I stepped inside, I heard her footsteps. Then her voice, sharp and cutting. You're a real piece of you know that? I turned, slow and controlled. Carrie stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, eyes wild. She looked rough. Good. I could say the same about you, I said calmly. She scoffed. Oh, off with the righteous act, Mick. You think you're some kind of victim? I arched an eyebrow. You cheated on me, Carrie. So what? She snapped. I froze. Something in my chest twisted, but I didn't let it show. So what? That was all she had to say. She took a step forward, chin lifted in defiance. You think you're the only guy who's ever been cheated on? Grow the F*** up. I exhaled slowly, my fingers tightening at my sides. And you think you're the only woman who's ever faced consequences? She laughed bitterly. Consequences? Oh, you mean the public humiliation you put me through? Yes. I smiled coldly. That's exactly what I mean. Her nostrils flared. I lost everything, Mick. I tilted my head. And whose fault is that? Silence. For the first time, she hesitated. But then, just as quickly, her anger reignited. You just couldn't let it go, she snarled. You had to ruin me. I stepped closer. She didn't back away. No, Carrie. You ruined yourself. I just made sure everyone saw who you really are. Her jaw clenched. For a second, I thought she might hit me. Then, she smirked. And suddenly, I knew. She wasn't done. I hope you enjoy your little revenge fantasy, Mick, she purred. Because I'm not the only one who's going to suffer. My blood ran cold. What the hell is that supposed to mean? She smiled wider. Then, she turned and walked out the door. That night, I found out exactly what she meant. I was at Logan's again, beer in hand, finally starting to feel free of her. The last 2 days had been a storm, but now? The air felt lighter. Then my phone rang. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. Mr. Lawson? Yeah. This is Officer Grant with the City Police Department. We need you to come down to the station. There's been an allegation made against you. My grip on the phone tightened. Allegation? A pause. A serious one, sir. And just like that, my stomach dropped. Carrie. That be ********. She wasn't just playing victim anymore. She was playing dirty. An hour later, I was sitting in a police station, hands clenched in my lap. The officer across from me had a file open, flipping through pages. I already knew what was coming. Carrie Lawson has filed a report, the officer said slowly. Claiming you were abusive throughout your marriage. I let out a short, humorless laugh. That's a lie, I said flatly. She has bruises, Mr. Lawson. I stiffened. Bruises? My mind flashed back to last night, to Nathan. I had beaten him senseless. Had Carrie been caught in the crossfire? Had she used it? She's lying, I said again, my voice sharper this time. The officer didn't react. Be that as it may, we have to take these claims seriously. I clenched my jaw. Of course they did. That's what Carrie was counting on. She couldn't win, so she was trying to drag me down with her. And I had 2 options. Let her. Or fight back. I exhaled slowly, leveling my gaze at the officer. Then I guess I need a lawyer. Because Carrie thought she could destroy me. She had no idea who she was dealing with. I sat in that interrogation room, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, a dull, annoying hum that matched the pounding in my skull. Across from me, the officer tapped his pen against the table, flipping through the file again. Carrie's lies, written in black and white. I had read it all before. Women like her, liars, manipulators, professional victims, they knew exactly how to twist a story. And she had twisted it perfectly. According to her, I was a violent, controlling husband. The kind of man who kept his wife in fear. The kind of man who got angry when she wanted freedom. She probably even squeezed out a few tears while telling the story. And the bruises? Convenient. She must have stood too close when I was knocking Nathan's teeth out. Or maybe Nathan himself had grabbed her too hard in the chaos. Or maybe she gave herself the bruises, just to make the lie more believable. "You have anything to say for yourself, Mr. Lawson?" the officer finally asked. I exhaled slowly, keeping my voice even. "Yeah. I need a lawyer." That was the only thing worth saying. Because I wasn't playing her game. The officer nodded like he expected that. "You're not under arrest, but I'd advise you not to leave town." I didn't respond. I just stood, grabbed my jacket, and walked out of that station without looking back. And as soon as I hit the parking lot, I made my first call. To my lawyer. 2 hours later, I sat across from Chris Maddox, the best divorce attorney I could afford. He was an older guy, late 50s, sharp eyes that had seen it all before. "She's smart," he said, flipping through the report. "Playing the abuse card? That complicates things. She's setting you up to be the villain so she can walk away clean." I clenched my jaw. "I want to destroy her, Chris. I don't want her walking away clean, I want her begging." Chris smirked. "Good. Because I can make that happen." He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the desk. "First, we go after credibility. We hit her with a counterclaim, defamation, emotional distress, false allegations. If we can prove she's lying, we bury her." "How?" I asked. Chris tossed a folder onto the desk. "We dig, Mick. We find every single piece of dirt on her. Old messages, financial records, social media, everything. She's hiding something. They always are." A slow grin spread across my face. Carrie thought she was ruining me. She had no idea what was coming. By midnight, I had what I needed. I sat on Logan's couch, laptop open, scrolling through years of old emails, bank statements, text records, anything that might give me leverage. And then I found it. Buried in a folder labeled Personal Finances. A wire transfer. $15,000. Sent from Carrie's account, to a name I didn't recognize. I frowned, clicking on the transaction details. The name, Derek Holman. Who the hell is Derek Holman? I muttered. Logan leaned over my shoulder. Never heard of him. I ran a search. The first hit nearly made me drop my drink. Derek Holman, a private investigator. My blood ran cold. She hired a PI? Logan whistled low. Damn, she was planning something. I sat back, mind racing. She had hired this guy months ago. Before I even knew about the affair. Which meant she wasn't just cheating, she was building an escape plan. She had planned to paint me as a monster before she even got caught. This wasn't just betrayal. It was premeditated. The next morning, I made my next move. I called Derek Holman himself. He answered on the second ring. Holman Investigations, how can I help you? I kept my voice casual. Hey, Derek. This is Mick Lawson. My wife hired you a while back. Ring any bells? Silence. Then, a slow inhale. What do you want, Mr. Lawson? Bingo. He was nervous. I want to know what you found, I said. And I want to know why she hired you. Another pause. Then, that's confidential. I grinned. Oh, come on, Derek. We both know the rules change when you're dealing with fraud. More silence. Then, he sighed. Meet me at Rossi's diner. Noon. I hung up. Carrie thought she was in control. She was about to learn just how wrong she was. By noon, I was sitting in the diner booth, watching the door. Derek walked in, wearing a cheap suit and a guilty expression. He slid into the seat across from me. You're not gonna like this, he said, setting a folder on the table. I picked it up, flipping it open. Inside? Photos of me. Dozens of them. At work. At the gym. Leaving the house. Meeting Logan for drinks. Carrie had me follow you for weeks, Derek admitted. She wanted proof of something. Anything she could use against you. I clenched my jaw. Did she find any? No. He exhaled, rubbing his forehead. That's the thing. She was hoping you'd cheat first. She was looking for an excuse to play the victim. My stomach twisted. She had been looking for a way out. Not just that, a way to make me the villain. She had been setting me up before I even suspected anything. My vision blurred with rage. She was never planning to stay, I muttered. Derek shook his head. No. She was setting up a clean exit. I snapped the folder shut. Not anymore. Carrie thought she was ahead. She was about to lose everything. And this time? She wouldn't see it coming. I sat in my car outside Carrie's new apartment, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. This was it. The final move. She had tried to ruin me. Had lied, manipulated, and played the victim while plotting behind my back. But she had no idea what was coming. I wasn't just going to win. I was going to end her. I walked up to her door, my heart a steady, controlled beat. No anger. No hesitation. Just purpose. I knocked. Silence. Then, footsteps. The door swung open, and there she was. Carrie. Messy hair, tired eyes, she wasn't sleeping well. Good. She blinked up at me, surprised, then quickly masked it with that fake confidence she always used. What the hell are you doing here? She snapped. I smiled. Thought you'd want to hear it from me first. Her eyes narrowed. Hear what? I pulled a folder from under my arm and held it up. Your life. Ending. She snorted. Dramatic much? I stepped inside before she could stop me, closing the door behind me. She huffed in annoyance but didn't try to stop me. She was nervous. Sit down, Carrie, I said. She folded her arms. I'm not playing your little game, Mick. I chuckled. Oh, but you played plenty of games with me, didn't you? Lying. Cheating. Setting me up before I even had a clue. Hiring a PI to dig for dirt on me when all along, you were the dirty one. Her lips parted slightly. You don't know what you're talking about. I threw the folder onto the coffee table. Don't I? She hesitated. Then, slowly, she stepped forward and opened it. And I watched her face fall apart. Because inside was everything. Bank transfers, to Derek Holman. Emails between her and Nathan, planning their future behind my back. Texts to her other side guy, because she hadn't just been with Nathan. She had a backup plan in case he bailed. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a professional liar. She flipped through the pages, her fingers trembling. Then, she slammed the folder shut and looked up at me, face twisting with rage. You were spying on me? I laughed. Loud. Sharp. You're joking, right? You hired a PI on me first. I leaned in. And unlike you, Carrie, I actually found something. She swallowed, glancing away for half a second, just long enough to confirm everything. She was guilty. She was scared. And she was losing. You're bluffing, she muttered. I smiled. Am I? I pulled out my phone and opened my email. Because I sent copies of this to a few people. Her eyes widened. The court. Click. Sent. Nathan's wife. Click. Sent. Your boss, who I'm sure will love to know what you and Nathan were doing on business trips. Click. Sent. She lunged for me, trying to grab the phone, but I stepped back easily. Her breathing was ragged, her face wild. "Mick," she hissed. "You're ruining my life." I tilted my head. "No, Carrie. You ruined your own life. I'm just making sure everyone knows it." She shook her head furiously, pacing, hands pulling at her hair. "You don't understand what you've done." I leaned against the wall, crossing my arms. "Oh, I understand perfectly. You lost. And now?" I smiled. "You're nobody." She let out a shuddering breath. Then, in a whisper, "What do you want?" There it was. The final break. "I already got what I wanted," I said. "I just wanted to see the moment you realized you can't hurt me anymore." I walked to the door, opened it, and turned back. "You should start packing, Carrie. Because the walls are about to close in." And with that, I left. For good. 3 weeks later, Carrie was gone. Nathan's wife filed for divorce and took everything from him. Carrie lost her job when her boss found out about the affair. And her reputation? Destroyed. She tried to fight back, tried to lie her way out. But the evidence was too much. She had nowhere left to run. And me? I was free. Divorce finalized. My house mine again. No more lies. No more betrayal. Just peace. Logan and I sat on my back porch, cold beers in hand. "You really did it," he said, shaking his head with a grin. "You burned her to the ground." I smirked. She deserved worse. He clinked his bottle against mine. "So, what now?" I exhaled, looking out at the horizon. What now? Anything I damn well wanted.
They laughed when they pushed me off the van. I still hear it, Claire's high-pitched cackle cutting through the cold air like a razor. "Happy birthday, loser." Then the van doors slammed shut. Tires screeched. Silence. I was standing on a dirt road in God knows where, blindfolded, hands zip-tied behind my back, and one damn balloon duct taped to my chest that read, "Birthday Boy." For a split second, I thought it was part of some surprise getaway. Maybe she'd rented a cabin. Maybe this was the beginning of something wild and unforgettable. It was. Just not the kind of unforgettable you want burned into your soul. When I finally chewed the blindfold down and looked around, fields. No houses. No cars. No phone. And definitely no Claire. That was the moment I knew something was wrong. Really wrong. Not funny wrong. Not prank wrong. Sick wrong. Hours passed. I started walking. A guy at a gas station 20 miles out let me borrow his phone. Claire didn't answer. Her best friend Lauren blocked me. I called my buddy Trent. He thought I was drunk dialing. When I finally made it home the next day, after hitching a ride with a trucker named Gus who smelled like sadness and diesel, I unlocked the door and found the note on the fridge. "You take life too seriously. Learn to laugh. It was just a prank. See you tomorrow. Zoxo, Claire Kissmark." No apology. No explanation. Just lipstick on a sticky note like she was leaving me a shopping list. The house was trashed. Wine bottles, stilettos, makeup scattered like debris after a storm. Judging by the mess and that one bra hanging off the chandelier like a trophy, I knew what kind of party had gone down while I was marooned in the middle of nowhere. They celebrated my birthday without me. Correction, they celebrated it by ditching me like trash. I sat on the edge of our bed, heart pounding. I kept staring at the closet, picturing her hands all over someone else, her voice whispering things she'd never said to me anymore. And I knew. This wasn't just a prank. This was the tip of the blade she'd been twisting into me for months. You don't just humiliate someone like that unless you've already stopped loving them. Or worse. You never loved them at all. So I did what any man would do when the ground falls out beneath him. I dug. Into her phone. Into her cloud backups. Into the shadows I'd been too blind to see for years. First clue? A folder on her Google Drive named Yoga Retreats. Inside? A video. Claire. In a hotel suite. In Paris. With a guy named Damien. Not a retreat. A retreat from our marriage. She was straddling him in lingerie I bought her for our anniversary 2 years ago. and she moaned his name like it was a hymn, like it saved her, like I never existed. I dropped the phone, sat there, frozen, breathing in short, broken gasps. My skin was hot, cold, then numb, like my soul was hemorrhaging and all I could do was watch it die on the carpet. She came home later that night like nothing happened, wearing that fake innocent smile, carrying a bottle of champagne. Lighten up, babe. You should have seen your face. I didn't punch the wall, didn't scream, didn't cry. I just looked at her. Really looked. And for the first time in 6 years, I didn't see my wife. I saw a stranger. A con artist wrapped in perfume and pearls. A woman who used laughter like a scalpel. And I whispered, "Why, Damien?" Her face changed. Just for a moment. Like I'd reached behind her mask and touched the raw nerve. Then she laughed. Again. "Jesus, you hacked my stuff? What are you, 12? That was from ages ago. It didn't even mean anything. Didn't mean anything. I should have left then. But I didn't. You want to believe the devil you love is just misunderstood. You want to believe maybe there's still a flicker of the woman you married. But Claire? Claire had poured gasoline on our wedding vows and lit them with her lipstick-stained lighter. And I was just now realizing I'd been standing in the fire for years, smiling like a fool. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, watching her breathe beside me like nothing had happened. The rise and fall of her chest felt like a taunt. She curled up under the covers in that silk nightgown I used to love, and I wondered how many other men had watched it slide off her shoulders while I was home making dinner or folding laundry. By 4 a.m., I was in the garage with a bottle of whiskey and my laptop, digging deeper. Messages, emails, photos. There wasn't just Damien. There was a Greg, a Sam, even a T, probably that tattooed guy she once swore was just a coworker. They weren't just cheating hookups. They were patterns. Rot. An infestation under the floorboards of our marriage. And I'd been too in love, or too damn loyal, to look down. Every message screamed something different. "You make me feel alive again. He's so boring. I can't wait to see you tonight. I'll say I'm at spin class." Spin class. That explained the $200 a month gym membership and the fact that I hadn't seen a single change in her body. What she was really working on wasn't her waistline. It was an alibi. I printed everything. I don't know why. Maybe part of me wanted to lay it all out in front of her like a police interrogation. Maybe I needed proof that I wasn't crazy. That this wasn't just a bad dream or paranoia twisting my mind. Morning came, and she walked into the kitchen like a sitcom wife. Cute yawn. "Morning, babe," like she hadn't just stabbed me 100 times the night before. I laid the stack of papers on the table. Didn't say a word. She looked down, flipping the first few pages. The smirk cracked. For once, Claire had no words. No jokes. No laughs. Just silence. I finally broke it. "How long?" She looked up slowly. "Does it matter?" I laughed. Actually laughed. A short, bitter exhale that surprised even me. "That's your answer?" Claire sat down, crossed her legs, folded her arms like a lawyer prepping a closing statement. "You've been distant for years. You come home, eat, work, sleep. You never touch me anymore. Oh, so it's my fault you've been out playing bedroom roulette with half the zip code?" She rolled her eyes. "I didn't say that. But maybe if you hadn't turned into such a boring, predictable robot." I slammed my fist down. She flinched. "Good. You left me blindfolded in the middle of nowhere as a prank. AF *** king joke to you and your hyena friends. It was supposed to be funny. You're the one who made it a thing. God, you're so dramatic." She really said that. With a straight face. Like abandoning your husband in a foreign country was something you could laugh off over brunch. That's when I knew this wasn't a marriage. It was a war I'd been losing for years without realizing I was on a battlefield. I stood up, heart pounding so hard I felt it in my teeth. "I want you out. Today." She blinked. "You're serious?" "As a heart attack." Claire laughed again, but it was nervous now. Offbeat. "Where am I supposed to go?" "Try Damien. Or Greg. Or maybe T. I'm sure one of them has a free couch." I walked upstairs. Packed her stuff. Every shoe, every dress, every fake little trophy she used to make herself feel superior. I left her the garbage bags. Let her do the dragging. When I came back down, she was sitting on the couch, texting furiously. Probably calling reinforcements. She looked up and said, "You're gonna regret this. You're never gonna find someone like me again." And I looked her dead in the eye and said, "That's the point." She left that afternoon. Slammed the door so hard the picture frame of our wedding fell off the wall. Fitting. I left it there. shattered glass and all. A monument to what used to be. The days that followed were strange. Quiet. Too quiet. I'd walk into the kitchen expecting a sarcastic comment or that scent of her perfume poisoning the air. Nothing. Just me and the ghost she left behind. But the pain didn't stay pain. Not forever. Pain turned into fuel. And I started running. I stopped drinking. Stopped scrolling through our old pictures. Stopped trying to figure out which version of Claire was ever real, the woman who kissed me goodnight for 6 years or the woman who whispered lies into other men's ears with that same mouth. Instead, I poured myself into work. 12-hour days. No breaks. No distractions. Money started coming in faster than I could keep track of. Clients noticed. Investors circled. Within 8 months, I was offered a buyout. Big one. Enough to walk away and never look back. I signed the papers on a Tuesday. That Friday, I was on a flight to Santorini. Alone. First class. Glass of bourbon in one hand, peace in the other. There's something about solitude on the Aegean Sea that strips everything fake off of you. No more pretending. No more faking smiles at dinner parties while your wife is texting her trainer under the table. It was the first time I breathed in years. I rented a small villa. White walls. Blue doors. A little pool that kissed the sun every morning. And for the first time since the disaster that was Claire, I started sleeping through the night. Then one night, everything shifted. I met her. Not Claire. Not some rebound. Her name was Juliet. French-American. Fierce eyes. A voice like velvet and thunder all at once. We met at a tiny cliffside bar. I was sipping scotch, watching the sea swallow the sun, and she walked up and asked if I was from Chicago. No, I said, but I used to survive there. She smiled. Sat down. Ordered tequila. By the end of the night, I was laughing like I forgot how. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. She didn't ask what I did for a living. Didn't care about my broken past. She asked what my favorite movie was. What kind of dog I'd get if I ever stopped pretending I didn't want one. We spent 3 weeks wrapped up in sunrises, grilled octopus, and the kind of warmth that doesn't demand anything back. And when I told her about Claire, she didn't flinch. Just said, some people teach you how much of yourself you were wasting. 6 months later, we were living together in Monaco. No labels. No drama. Just peace. Then one evening, while walking back from the marina, she looked at me and said, I want to build something with you. Not just a life. A future. So we did. Fast forward to last summer. We were anchored off the Amalfi coast on a borrowed yacht, massive, ridiculous, more steel and glass than common sense. One of Juliet's friends, a billionaire tech guy, loaned it to us for a week as a wedding gift. Wedding, yes. I married her. Not because I needed someone. Because I finally met someone who didn't need to destroy me to feel powerful. We were on the upper deck when I saw the boat pull up beside us. Smaller, loud, drunk energy radiating off the group. I barely looked until I heard that laugh. Claire. She was there. With Lauren. And a few other plastic-faced banshees from our old life. She didn't recognize me at first, but I saw the moment her eyes registered who I was. She froze. Mouth open. Frozen like a woman seeing a ghost. I walked over. Calm. Confident. Wearing a linen shirt that probably cost more than our old wedding did. Juliet at my side, hand in mine. Claire stood there in her tacky bikini, holding a watered-down cocktail and years of regret in her eyes. Ethan, she whispered. I smiled. Claire. Long time. She looked at Juliet. At the yacht. Then back at me. What is all this? Oh, I said, glancing at the champagne in my other hand. This is what happens when you get abandoned on your birthday and turn it into fuel. Her friends started whispering. Lauren had the nerve to smirk. Claire tried to chuckle. You're kidding, right? Juliet squeezed my hand. I didn't need to say anything else. I just raised my glass and said, thanks for the prank. They left 10 minutes later. Not a single word. Just silence. And God, that silence? It tasted better than any revenge. That night, Juliet and I stood at the edge of the yacht, watching the stars ripple across the sea. She didn't ask questions. She didn't have to. She knew. Her hand rested on my chest, grounding me, anchoring me in a way no one ever had. I kissed her forehead, still hearing Claire's stunned silence echo somewhere far behind us. And yet, I'd be lying if I said it ended there. That one moment, one face-off, erased everything Claire did to me. Trauma doesn't just walk away quietly. It lingers in the corners of your peace, testing it. The next morning, I got a message. From Claire. No, hi. No apology, no accountability. Just saw you yesterday. You look different. Successful suits you. I stared at the message for a while. The audacity of that woman. It wasn't curiosity. It wasn't nostalgia. It was a test. A toe in the door. A hook, waiting to reel me back into her world of manipulation. I didn't respond. An hour later, she sent another. I still think about you sometimes. About what we could have been. I was stupid. Maybe I didn't know what I had. And then the real motive. I'm back in Nice this weekend. Maybe we could catch up. I showed Juliet the messages. She didn't flinch. She read them, handed the phone back, and said, "Only a woman who's lost something would ever write like that." I blocked Claire. But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, Lauren messaged me. Then Greg. Then some mutual friend we hadn't spoken to in 5 years. All suddenly curious. Suddenly interested in catching up. I realized what Claire was doing. She didn't want me back. She wanted the version of me that had finally escaped her. The version she couldn't own, control, or humiliate anymore. She wanted to feel powerful again, because that yacht, that woman beside me, that calm in my eyes, it reminded her that she failed. Claire always needed someone to be beneath her to feel tall. And now, I was untouchable. I wasn't just gone. I'd evolved. The old me? He would have responded. He would have met her in some cafe out of guilt, out of curiosity, out of some pathetic need for closure. But I had all the closure I'd ever need. The day she left me alone on that road, thinking it was funny. That was who she was. Who she still is. Juliet and I spent the next few months planning our move to Dubai. She had an opportunity with an international gallery, and I'd been offered a consulting deal that paid more in 6 months than Claire and I made in 3 years. But before we left France, something happened that shook me more than I expected. I bumped into Claire's mother. In a grocery store of all places. She recognized me instantly. Same disapproving eyes. Same tight jaw. Only this time, she looked tired. She walked over, slow, like she'd rehearsed the moment. "I heard you ran into Claire," she said. "I did," I replied, flat. "She's been having a rough time." I didn't answer. I didn't care. "She misses you," her mother added, almost too quietly. I shook my head. "She misses the version of me that let her walk all over him." Her mother sighed, like she'd finally let a truth slip. "You deserved better. You always did." That caught me off guard. I didn't need her validation, but hearing it from someone who once looked down on me like I wasn't good enough for their daughter, it hit different. As I turned to leave, she called after me. "She's still not over it, you know? The yacht. The woman. The life you built." I looked over my shoulder and said, she should have thought of that before she threw it away. And then I walked out of that store, got into my car, and never looked back. The ghosts still whisper sometimes, but they don't haunt me. Not anymore. A month later, we moved into a penthouse in Dubai. High ceilings, glass walls, and a view that made every sunrise feel like a second chance. Juliet fit into that world like she was born for it. Elegant but never arrogant. Beautiful but never cruel. The opposite of everything Claire had been. One night, as we lay on the rooftop lounge watching the city blink around us, Juliet said, "You still carry it." I didn't have to ask what she meant. She was right. I did. Not because I missed Claire God, no, but because when someone poisons your trust so thoroughly, it changes you. You start looking over your shoulder in relationships, even when there's no reason to. You flinch at kindness. You dissect every smile, waiting for the knife hidden behind it. Juliet never pushed. She just held space. That's the thing about people who love you right. They don't try to fix you. They just make sure you never have to break alone again. But the past has claws. And mine wasn't done scratching. 3 weeks into our new life, I got a letter. An actual letter. Handwritten. No return address. The handwriting was familiar. I didn't need to read the signature. "Claire." It started innocent enough. "I'm writing because I don't know how else to reach you. I've tried to move on. I've tried to hate you. But I can't stop thinking about the day I saw you on that yacht." She went on about how seeing me like that broke her. How she finally realized what she'd done. How she hated the woman she used to be. And then, the real dagger. "You look happy. But I wonder, are you? Truly? Or are you just pretending better than I ever could?" I read that line over and over. It wasn't concern. It was bait. She wanted to plant a seed of doubt, the same way she always had, undermining my peace just to feel relevant. I showed Juliet the letter. She didn't react with jealousy or anger. She simply asked, "Do you want to respond?" "No," I said. But later that night, I sat at the kitchen counter, staring at the paper like it owed me something. Closure? An apology? A confession? No, that wasn't Claire's style. Claire didn't want to apologize. She wanted to matter again. And honestly, that scared me more than anything. Because I realized that as long as she existed, she'd always find a way to reach back into my life like a weed through concrete. The next day, I made a decision. Not a reaction. Not an act of revenge. Just a clean cut. I hired a private firm. Changed every point of contact, every file, every traceable piece of my digital past that connected her to me. Blocked every old mutual, shut down old email accounts, scrubbed social media. It wasn't about hiding. It was about erasing her access to the new version of me. Claire belonged to the man who begged her to come home, who cried in a bathroom stall after finding hotel receipts in her purse, who forgave and forgave and forgave until there was nothing left of himself. That man was dead, and in his place stood someone who built his own world from the ashes she left behind. A month later, Juliet and I were invited to a gala. High society, dripping diamonds, the kind of place Claire used to dream about but never had the grace to belong to. Halfway through the evening, as Juliet twirled on the dance floor with that effortless smile, a woman tapped me on the shoulder. It was Lauren. Hair thinner, eyes duller. The years had not been kind. Ethan, she said, like she still had the right to say my name. Well, I almost didn't recognize you. I didn't smile. Then keep it that way. She laughed nervously. Look, I know I was part of everything, and I just want to say I'm sorry. Claire's not in a great place these days. Not my problem, I said flatly. She hesitated. She's drinking. A lot. Said something about writing a book. About the yacht guy that got away. I almost laughed. Of course she did. She always needed a new spotlight, I said. Even if she had to burn bridges to get it. Lauren touched my arm. She loved you, you know, in her own way. I looked her dead in the eyes. No, she loved control. And I'm the only thing she ever lost that she couldn't get back. I turned, walked back to Juliet, and didn't look back. 6 months later, we were on the water again, this time the Seychelles. Quiet. Undisturbed. No parties. No past. Just the hum of the sea and the gentle weight of Juliet's head on my shoulder. The sun was setting behind us, gold bleeding into dark blue, and I thought about how far I'd come. There was no more anger. No more bitterness. Just perspective. Claire had once abandoned me as a joke. Thought it would be hilarious to blindfold her husband, toss him out in the middle of nowhere, and laugh about it with her pack of vipers over cheap champagne. She never imagined I'd turn that humiliation into the beginning of my empire. She thought I'd crawl back. She thought I'd stay broken. But broken men don't stay broken forever. Sometimes they rebuild in silence. Sometimes they rise. And sometimes they sail past the very people who once laughed at them, standing tall, drink in hand, peace in their eyes, and a woman beside them who didn't need to destroy them to feel strong. I've learned this. When someone disrespects you repeatedly, it's not a mistake. It's their design. Claire didn't lose me because of one bad night or one affair. She lost me because she was never building a life, she was playing a game. You want advice? Here's mine. If someone shows you who they really are, believe them. And when they try to come back after the damage is done, don't just shut the door. Build a life so far above their reach they can't even knock. Now I live on my terms. My days are filled with sunrises and purpose. My nights with honesty and warmth. No lies. No half-love. No betrayal hiding behind mascara and a fake smile. Claire once said I'd never find someone like her again. She was right. Because I stopped looking for chaos dressed as passion. And now? Now I'm living my best life. On a billionaire's yacht. With a real woman. And all that noise behind me? It's just the echo of someone else's regret. I walked into the house a little earlier than usual that Thursday afternoon. Work at the firm had been slow, and traffic was surprisingly light. I wasn't trying to catch anyone off guard. I just wanted to surprise my wife with takeout from her favorite Thai place. 18 years of marriage, and I still found myself doing little things like that. Dumb, right? As I opened the front door, the scent hit me first. Not food. Not candles. Something. Sterile. Hospital-like. I stepped inside and caught sight of Kimberly, my wife, standing in the hallway, pressing the end call button on her phone like she had just been caught red-handed. She froze. "Oh hey, Josh," she said, voice all tight and fake casual. "Didn't expect you this early." "Yeah," I said slowly. Clearly, she had that look. That half-guilty, half-irritated look she gets when she knows she's been caught but already resents you for noticing. I set the bag of food on the table and watched her closely. Then I saw it. The small cooler bag on the counter with the words Midwest Reproductive Center printed on the side. Kim, I asked, heart pounding, what the hell is that? She didn't answer. Not right away. Instead, she turned and started busying herself with cleaning up non-existent crumbs from the countertop. Kim, look at me. What is that? She sighed, like I was the one being difficult. It's nothing you need to worry about, Josh. It's for my sister. I felt a chill creep up my spine. Your sister? What do you mean? Kim finally looked at me, eyes narrowed, defensive already. Sophie and Nick have been trying to have a baby for years. I told you that. You know that. Yeah, but what does that have to do with you? She crossed her arms and tilted her head like she was explaining something to a child. They needed a surrogate. I offered. You ever have that moment where your ears ring and the world slows down, like in a movie when the bomb's about to go off but no one's moved yet? You, what? I'm already a few weeks along, she said casually, like she'd just told me she bought new curtains. And before you go full caveman, let me remind you, it's my body, my choice. I blinked. I couldn't breathe. I sat down. My knees weren't cooperating. You're pregnant with your sister's husband's baby, and you didn't think maybe I should be part of that conversation? She shrugged. I knew how you'd react. You'd say no. You'd try to control me like always. So I did what was right. What was right? She went behind my back, lied for months, snuck around with medical appointments, had procedures, and now she was carrying another man's child inside her, and not just any man. My brother-in-law. You lied to me, I said, standing back up. You lied for months. She scoffed. Don't be dramatic. This is about family. About helping someone. I lost it. Helping someone? You're carrying his kid. And don't give me that no strings attached crap. Do you realize what this looks like? Oh, come on, Josh. Grow up. It's a medical arrangement. Nothing happened between me and Nick. Nothing happened? I snarled. You're pregnant, Kim. And then, as if the universe decided I hadn't had enough for one day, her phone lit up on the counter. A message from Nick. Can't stop thinking about the other night. You looked incredible in that gown. Sophie has no idea. Red heart. My hands went cold. I looked at her. She went pale. For the first time, I saw fear flicker in her eyes. You told me it was just about the baby, I said, voice barely above a whisper. Josh, it's not what you think. No. I picked up the phone and held it toward her. Then what is it, Kim? She stared, mouth opening and closing, scrambling for a lie, a cover, a new excuse. But she had nothing. I stepped back, grabbed my keys, and looked her dead in the eye. This wasn't just betrayal. This was war. I didn't drive far. Just enough to get away from her voice echoing in my head. The message from Nick wouldn't stop flashing in my mind like some cursed neon sign. You looked incredible in that gown. What gown? We hadn't been to any formal event in months. Hell, I hadn't seen her in anything fancier than leggings and oversized hoodies lately. She used to dress up for me. Now she was dressing up for someone else. Someone who just so happened to be her sister's husband. I pulled over at the edge of the park a few blocks away and just sat there, watching some kid try to fly a crooked-looking kite while my marriage disintegrated in my chest. This wasn't just betrayal. This was some twisted, layered soap opera nonsense, and I was the idiot holding the script upside down. I scrolled through her phone. Yeah, I took it. Sue me. She'd left it on the counter when I stormed out. I wasn't even thinking straight. I just grabbed it on instinct. And when I unlocked it, yes, I knew her password. Been the same since 2011. The first thing I saw made my stomach twist. More messages. Nick, you make me forget what guilt even feels like. Kim, we're already in too deep. Just a few more months and we'll figure it out. In too deep? Figure out what? I opened her photo gallery. There they were. Bathroom selfies in a hotel mirror. A wine glass. That same damn gown from the message, blood red, low cut, hugging her body like it was made for secrets. She was biting her lip in one of them, looking directly at the camera in a way she never looked at me anymore. And then a picture of them together. His hand on her lower back. Her eyes closed. I clenched the phone so hard my knuckles cracked. She hadn't just betrayed me. She'd planned this. Hidden it behind her heroic act of being a surrogate. She weaponized morality. I drove back home an hour later, expecting to find her crying or panicking. Instead, I walked into a kitchen filled with silence and the faint sound of a reality show playing in the background. Kim was sitting on the couch, scrolling TikTok like nothing had happened. Oh, you're back, she said without looking up. That did it. You really think you can gaslight your way out of this? She looked at me, eyebrows raised. Excuse me. I read the messages. I saw the photos. She stood up slowly, eyes hard now. You went through my phone? You lied to me, Kim. For months. You told me it was just about helping your sister. Her face twisted into something sharp and cruel. It was. At first. Silence. Then she laughed. Laughed. You want to know what changed? You. You haven't touched me in months. You're always tired. Always stressed. Nick made me feel seen. I took a step closer. So you rewarded that by letting him into our bed? It wasn't our bed, she snapped. It was a hotel. And it wasn't your business. I stared at her, completely stunned. You're right, I said, my voice dry. Because apparently this whole damn marriage stopped being my business a long time ago. She crossed her arms. Don't act like some victim. You checked out years ago. No, Kim. I just stopped chasing someone who already ran. She rolled her eyes. So what now? You gonna cry? Throw me out? Make a big scene for the neighbors? I shook my head. No. I'm going to make this very simple. I walked over to the drawer, grabbed a manila envelope I'd prepped months ago when things started feeling off back when I didn't even know why I felt cold around her. I tossed it on the table. Divorce papers. Unfiled. Until now. Her mouth fell open. Not in shock, but in irritation. Like I just spilled wine on her dress. You're overreacting, she hissed. No. I'm finally reacting the way I should have from the moment you decided to carry another man's baby behind my back while screwing him on the side. The air between us turned to glass. She didn't apologize. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just scoffed and muttered, "Good luck finding someone else who will put up with you." I grabbed my jacket. I was done putting up with her. The next day started with a knock on my door. I checked into a hotel after leaving Kim. I didn't want to be anywhere near that house. I didn't even take my stuff, just my phone, wallet, and enough rage to burn through the next decade. I wasn't ready for company. But when I opened the door, I wasn't surprised to see her. Sophie, Kim's older sister. The woman who supposedly couldn't have kids. The woman who was supposed to be the victim in this whole story. The woman I now saw in a completely different light. She looked wrecked, like she hadn't slept in days. Eyes puffy, makeup smeared, hair in a mess of a ponytail. I'd never seen Sophie look anything less than polished. Not until now. Josh, she said quietly. Can I talk to you? I should have slammed the door in her face. Instead, I stepped aside and let her in. She sat on the edge of the hotel room bed, wringing her hands. I just found out last night. Nick told me everything. About the messages. The hotel. All of it. All of it. I said, cold. Because I doubt you know the half of it. She shook her head. I thought Kim was just being generous. She told me you were on board. Said you supported the surrogacy. I laughed once, dry and humorless. She told you I was on board while she told me nothing. That's Kim for you. Playing both sides until she burns down the bridge between them. She lied to me too, Sophie said. I trusted her. Yeah, well, I married her. Guess we both lost. There was a pause, heavy and ugly. Then Sophie said something I didn't expect. She's always been like this. That caught my attention. What do you mean? Sophie stared at the carpet. Even when we were kids, she needed attention. Needed to be adored. If I had a boyfriend, she'd flirt with him. If I got good grades, she'd fake being sick to steal the spotlight. I thought she'd grown out of it. She just upgraded the game, I muttered. From boys to husbands. Sophie looked at me, and for a second, I saw it. The exact same look of betrayal I saw in the mirror. Maybe she hadn't known. Maybe she really was a pawn like me. She told Nick it was a one-time thing, Sophie whispered. That she was lonely. That you were distant. I clenched my fists. So she used my exhaustion as an excuse to climb into bed with her sister's husband. Nice. Sophie looked up, her expression darkening. I kicked him out. He's staying with a friend. I filed for separation. I raised an eyebrow. That fast? She nodded. Because unlike Kim, I don't make excuses for people who betray me. That hit deeper than I expected. We sat in silence for a minute, both of us lost in the same storm. Then Sophie asked, "What are you going to do?" I looked at her, then out the window at the gray, overcast sky. "I'm going to burn it all down," I said quietly. "Everything she built on lies. I'm taking it apart, brick by brick." Sophie didn't flinch. She just nodded. "Let me know how I can help." And that was the moment something shifted. Kim and Nick thought they could play us like fools, lie, cheat, and walk away clean. But now? Now they'd given their victims a common cause. And we weren't playing nice anymore. Back at the house, I returned only to gather proof. I copied files from Kim's laptop, emails, calendars, transactions. She wasn't just sneaking around emotionally. She had bank transfers linked to hotel bookings, Uber receipts at 2 a.m., Venmo payments with heart emojis sent to Nick under the name Yoga Coach. Yoga Coach, my ass. When she got home that night, she found me at the dining table with a folder full of her digital footprint. Her face drained of color. "What are you doing?" I didn't raise my voice. Didn't throw anything. I just looked her dead in the eyes and said, "Building my case." She scoffed. "You think you can take me down? This was just a mistake." "No," I said. "Cheating is a mistake. A one-night lapse. You built a relationship behind my back, funded it, protected it, and justified it. That's not a mistake. That's a campaign." She looked like she wanted to scream, but she didn't. Maybe because she knew I wasn't bluffing. Or maybe she finally realized I wasn't her punching bag anymore. I stood, folder in hand, and walked past her. "See you in court, sweetheart." The first court meeting was nothing like I imagined. I didn't walk in with fire and fury. No shouting. No slamming fists. I walked in with facts. Evidence. Screenshots. Printouts. A calm attorney named Rachel, who never once raised her voice but tore through Kim's lies like a surgeon with a scalpel. Kim showed up in full performance mode. Designer blouse. Flawless makeup. That fake vulnerable expression she used whenever she wanted sympathy. She even dabbed her eyes with a tissue before the judge walked in. It would have worked, too, if I hadn't come prepared. Rachel stood up first. "Your Honor, this is not simply a matter of infidelity. This is calculated emotional and financial deception. My client, Mr. Joshua Martin, has been lied to repeatedly by the defendant, Kimberly Martin, regarding both her extramarital relationship and her secret surrogacy carried out without his knowledge or consent." Kim's lawyer, some overconfident weasel named Brent, objected. "The surrogacy was a private family matter and does not fall under marital fraud." Rachel didn't blink. Except for the fact that the surrogate arrangement included financial compensation paid directly to an account Mr. Martin was unaware of. That's deception with financial implication. Kim's face tightened. Her mask cracked for half a second. That's when I knew we had her. I watched her squirm as Rachel presented the timeline of lies, Kim agreeing to be a surrogate without discussing it with me. Kim lying to her sister, claiming I was on board. Kim meeting Nick in hotels under the guise of fertility appointments. Screenshots of Nick calling her baby and praising her body in ways no brother-in-law ever should. Then came the clincher. Rachel turned to me, and I handed her the printout. The wire transfer from Nick, $5,000 labeled as "Thank you Kissmark." When Rachel laid that in front of the judge, Kim finally broke her silence. "That's not what it looks like." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Then please, Mrs. Martin, enlighten us." Kim stood. "It was just a gift. For everything I was doing. It wasn't romantic." Rachel flipped another page. Followed 2 days later by a reservation for a luxury suite under your name, paid for by the same account. Kim's lips parted, but no words came out. I didn't gloat. Didn't smirk. I just sat there and let her stew in the weight of her own chaos. The judge didn't make any decisions that day, but the tone of the case had shifted. Sympathy had left the building. The courtroom saw what I had lived with for years, an actress who finally flubbed her lines. Later that evening, I got a call from Sophie. "Tell me everything," she said. I did. And as I talked, something surprising happened. Sophie didn't sound bitter. She sounded focused. "I want custody of the child," she said. "That baby was meant to be mine, not born out of betrayal." "You really think she'll give it up?" "I don't want her to give it," Sophie said coldly. "I want to take it. Legally." She broke every agreement. "I have paperwork, emails, witnesses." "You want to go to war?" "I already am," she replied. I didn't know what shocked me more, that Sophie was stepping into this fire willingly, or that I actually respected her for it. That night, I drove past the house one last time. Kim had changed the locks already. No surprise. I didn't need to go in. I didn't want anything from that house anymore. Except one thing. Buried in the back of the garage, in an old box labeled "Josh's Crap," was the only photo I still cared about. Me and my dad at the lake when I was 12. My dad had passed 2 years ago. He'd always told me, "Son, you'll know who someone really is when the fire starts." Kim set the fire. Now I knew. And now I was walking out of the flames, not burned, but forged. 2 weeks after court, Kim made her move. A flashy Instagram post. A soft focus photo of her smiling with her hand over her baby bump. Caption: sometimes blessings come through unexpected storms. Thank you to everyone who supported me through this beautiful journey of giving life. Hashtag strong women, hashtag surrogate mom, hashtag love wins. The comments were sickening. You're so brave. Such an amazing sister. Can't believe Josh would walk out on this queen crying face. Nick and Sophie are lucky to have you. I sat at a coffee shop, phone in hand, stomach turning. She'd gone full PR mode, spinning betrayal into benevolence, turning our dirty truth into a fairy tale for likes and sympathy. She didn't just want to hurt me. She wanted to be the hero while she stabbed the people closest to her in the back. But she underestimated me. Again, I called Rachel. She's using social media to manipulate public opinion, I said. And she's painting herself as a saint. Rachel chuckled. Let her. The more she posts, the more she documents her own lies. I paused. Think it's time for a little truth of my own? Rachel didn't hesitate. Post the screenshots. I waited until evening. Then I opened my account. Been private for years, no real following. But this wasn't about likes. I posted a carousel of screenshots, messages between Kim and Nick. The hotel confirmations. The money transfers. Even a snippet of Nick's voice message that said, if Sophie finds out, I'm screwed. But I don't regret a second of what we've done. My caption was simple. You don't get to lie, cheat, and pretend you're the victim. I stayed silent out of respect, not fear. But since lies are trending, let's talk truth. Hashtag 18 years of lies, hashtag she was just a good sister, hashtag she was his lover. Within minutes, it exploded. People reshared it, commented, DM'd me. Some from people I hadn't heard from in years. Some even from Kim's friends, who now felt so betrayed by her. Of course they did. But the real message came the next morning. Kim showed up at my hotel. I opened the door and found her standing there with her arms crossed, sunglasses on, lips tight. Take it down. I leaned against the door frame. No. You humiliated me, she snapped. I laughed bitterly. Oh, you mean the truth humiliated you? Wild concept. This isn't just about us anymore, she hissed. It's about my reputation. My career. You think I can get brand partnerships with this crap floating around? I stepped closer. You cheated. Lied. Took money under the table. And you're worried about brand deals? Kim, you're delusional. Her jaw tightened. I'll sue you for defamation. Please do, I said, eyes locked. Because then I get to put all the rest in public court records. You want that? She didn't speak. She just stared at me, seething. Get off my doorstep, Kim. I shut the door in her face. The knock came again, harder, but I didn't answer. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about closure, taking back control, refusing to be the quiet, humiliated husband sitting in the background while she played saint. Later that week, I met Sophie again, not at the hotel, but at a lawyer's office. She was already deep into custody battles. Her lawyer handed me a document titled, Petition for Full Parental Rights, Gestational Surrogacy Violation. Sophie looked tired, but sharp. She's not raising that child, she said. She used my pain as her stage. That baby is mine. I nodded slowly. Then let's finish this. I didn't know where this road was heading. Maybe toward more legal fights. More headlines. More dirt. But for the first time in years, I wasn't surviving. I was striking back. And Kim? She had no clue how many more truths I was still holding. I didn't want to believe it at first. I mean, betrayal has levels. There's cheating. Then there's lying about carrying your sister's baby while sneaking around with her husband. But this would detonate everything. It started with an offhand comment from Sophie during one of our meetings with her custody attorney. She looked over a medical report and muttered, "These hormone levels don't line up with the embryo transfer date." I leaned in. What do you mean? Sophie looked confused for a second. Then her face went pale. She whispered, Josh, what if she didn't use my egg? Silence. She flipped through the papers, reading the hormone timelines and cycle tracking Kim had submitted as part of the surrogacy paperwork. They were supposed to use my egg and Nick's sperm. That was the agreement. But if these hormone levels are what I think they are, then she got pregnant naturally. My blood ran cold. You're saying that baby might be hers? Sophie nodded, slow and sick with realization. No, I said. No way. Kim wouldn't go that far. Would she? But I already knew the answer. Kim would go exactly that far. I ordered a private prenatal paternity test the next day. Cost me more than I wanted to spend. Took some backdoor conversations. But I still had access to her insurance info, and her recent OB-GYN visit gave me what I needed. It was risky. Probably illegal in 3 states. But I had to know. 3 days later, I got the results. Probability of biological maternity, 99.99%. Probability of biological paternity, 99.99%. Father, Nicholas Preston. Mother, Kimberly Martin. My knees buckled. She didn't just lie about the surrogacy. There was no surrogacy. She got pregnant the old-fashioned way, with her sister's husband, and spun it into a PR fairy tale. I sat in the dark with the envelope in my hand, thinking about all those nights she told me she was at Sophie's helping with nursery stuff, or just running late after a doctor's visit. All those nights she was probably with Nick. All those nights I was sitting home like an idiot reheating her leftovers. I stared at the results again. She was going to pass this baby off as her sister's. Use that lie for sympathy. Hide behind womanhood and sacrifice and sisterhood, while she was growing her own baby with another man inside her. And the world was applauding her for it. My fingers trembled as I took photos of the report and sent them to Rachel, then to Sophie. I didn't even need to add a message. Sophie called me instantly. Her voice was shaking. "She's dead to me," she said. "That child, she was going to hand me her baby and let me believe it was mine. I was going to raise her lie." I couldn't even speak. My throat was tight. My body was still. But my mind was racing. Kim hadn't just ruined a marriage. She committed fraud, destroyed a family, and played God with a child's life. I texted Kim that night. "We need to talk. Tomorrow. Noon. My lawyer's office. Come clean, or I will." Her reply? "Nice try. You're bluffing." I sent her the DNA result. Just the image. She didn't reply after that. The next day, she showed up. No sunglasses. No fake tears. Just raw panic barely hiding behind a smirk. "You did a paternity test?" "No," I said. "I did the paternity test. And your time's up." She didn't even try to lie. She just sat down and whispered, "So what now?" Rachel leaned forward. "Now? You step out of the custody agreement. Sophie is suing for full rights. And you'll face charges for medical fraud and falsifying legal documents if you fight it." Kim looked stunned. "You'd really do this to me?" I leaned in. "No, Kim. You did this to yourself." By the end of that week, Kim's world was crumbling in real time. The DNA revelation didn't just blow up our lives, it lit a fuse under everything she'd built. Sophie didn't just go after custody. She went nuclear. Her lawyer filed a full-scale suit for parental fraud, citing deception, emotional manipulation, and intentional misrepresentation of medical agreements. The story leaked. I didn't plan it, but with all the attention Kim had drawn to herself, it was only a matter of time. Someone from the clinic must have talked. Or maybe it was one of her supportive followers who saw the cracks and couldn't resist the drama. Either way, it hit the internet like wildfire. Surrogate mom scandal. Sister claims betrayal and secret pregnancy scheme. The tabloids ran with it. TikTok had theories. Twitter was vicious. Everyone had a hot take. The worst part? Some still defended her. She's just a woman trying to help her family. Men can't handle powerful women. You don't know the full story, but enough people saw the truth. Screenshots, documents, dates. They added up. And those who once called her hero were now calling her psycho. I expected her to run. Instead, she spiraled. "You're a pathetic excuse for a man. Maybe you'll be hot once I pour this coffee on you," she sneered. Then she did it. The mug hit my chest, boiling coffee exploding across my shirt and face like napalm. Her smirk stayed frozen, watching every twitch in my jaw, every involuntary wince as the heat ate at my skin. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I didn't move. I just locked eyes with her. The man beside her, shirt halfway unbuttoned, gym-pumped arms crossed like he owned my kitchen, snorted. I think he thought I was about to cry. Maybe grovel. Maybe beg for her to come back. That's what weak men do, right? That's what they expected from the pathetic excuse for a man. But I did one thing instead. I took a step forward. Just one. And that single step? It changed everything. Because when I moved, I didn't raise my voice. I raised my right hand. I didn't punch. I didn't shove. I pressed my thumb into the emergency button I'd installed under the countertop last fall, when her late nights had started to add up, when the story stopped making sense, when paranoia became the only clarity I had left. The house cameras were already streaming. The door was already unlocked. The authorities were already en route. But none of that would matter in the next 15 seconds. You see, Marcus, her smug, side-smirking lover, didn't know I boxed in college. He also didn't know I still trained 3 times a week in private. He especially didn't know that pouring scalding liquid on someone could legally be considered assault, and that self-defense kicks in real fast in our state when you're on your own property, face burned, and adrenaline rushing through your system like fire. I stepped toward him. He puffed up, chest out, confident in the muscle he used more for show than impact. But that confidence cracked the moment I smiled. Then I moved. Left elbow, throat. Right palm, jaw. Leg sweep, floor. My wife screamed something about police. Funny, they were already 5 minutes away. I didn't touch her. I didn't have to. She backed herself into the wall like a kicked dog, trembling with rage more than fear. She always hated losing control. Always hated when someone flipped her script. And now her script was burning. While they were still writhing and whining on the polished tiles of the house I paid for, I walked past them, grabbed my jacket, and stepped into the garage. No yelling. No panic. Just ice. Because the next part of my plan had already begun 3 days ago, when my lawyer, Sean, filed the emergency ownership transfer papers behind her back. See, Emily, my dear wife, was too busy spending weekends in hotels with Marcus to notice the documents on the counter. The ones she signed blindly when I told her they were tax forms. So while they were still calling out to me, him gasping, her sobbing, I was already en route to Sean's office, watching live footage from the home security app as the ambulance arrived. Let them cry. Let them panic. Let them bleed. Because what comes next? That'll make them wish the coffee was the worst part. I hadn't always been this cold. Hell, I used to worship the ground Emily walked on. I used to bring her breakfast in bed, tuck little notes in her bag, warm her car on winter mornings. But I guess kindness only looks like weakness to someone who thinks love is a game of domination. I'd ignored the signs at first. The perfume that wasn't hers. The texts at 2 a.m. The giggles in the bathroom when she thought I was asleep. But today wasn't the day for discovery. Today was judgment. Today was the reckoning. And I wasn't done. This house. It's mine now. Officially. Legally. Completely. The accounts? Already frozen. The prenup? Voided by infidelity. Thanks to the security footage showing Marcus entering our bedroom 3 separate times this month. Each time while I was working late trying to pay off her credit cards. Her lawyer will try to fight it, I'm sure. But mine's better. And when they get served tomorrow morning, bruised, broken, burned, they'll realize something neither of them ever thought possible. The man they mocked was the man with the plan. I didn't see it at first. I didn't want to. That's how betrayal works. It wears perfume, smiles sweetly, and tells you that you're crazy for even questioning it. And God help me, I believed her. It all started 4 months ago. Babe, I'm just going to Danielle's tonight, Emily had said, tossing her heels into a bag with such casual speed that I almost didn't catch it. Girls' wine night. No big deal. She kissed me on the cheek, light, fast, distracted, and was out the door before I could even ask which Danielle. At first, I chalked it up to stress. Her boss was apparently a nightmare. The late hours were to finish campaigns. The new clothes were for meetings. The locked phone. Work secrets. The gym obsession. Mental health. I bought it all. But lies, like cracks in glass, always spread. One night, I got up to grab some water. Her phone lit up on the kitchen counter. A preview flashed. Marcus, you smell like heaven. He's really still buying this? My stomach sank. I didn't touch it. Didn't snoop. Just stared at the screen, willing it to be a misunderstanding. But the second message sealed it. Marcus, can't wait to pick you up again Saturday. Same hotel. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I asked her about Danielle. About wine nights. She rolled her eyes, slammed her mug on the counter. Are you seriously doing this? You don't trust me now? After everything. I apologized. Because she knew how to twist guilt like a knife. From there, things got colder. She stopped cooking. Stopped touching me. Her laughter disappeared. Everything I did annoyed her. My shirts weren't folded right. I chewed too loudly. I breathed wrong. It wasn't just cheating. It was erosion. But I didn't confront her right away. No. I started documenting. I bought a new phone and installed cameras. Small ones, hidden, discreet. She never noticed. And that Saturday, she wore the same red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary. She thought it was funny. Marcus picked her up 3 blocks away. I had it all on video, license plate, audio, timestamps. They didn't even try to be discreet. I watched them on my screen as they entered a hotel I'd once surprised her with for her birthday. She laughed in the hallway, called him daddy, told him I was an idiot. I couldn't look away. That was the moment the switch flipped. Not because she cheated, but because she enjoyed humiliating me. Because she planned it. Because she mocked the man who gave her a home, a life, and unwavering love. I realized I'd married someone who didn't just lie. She thrived on cruelty. After that, I stopped being her husband and started becoming her reckoning. I met with my lawyer the next day, told him everything. We opened an infidelity clause, got the footage analyzed, hired a forensic accountant. She didn't know that I had full access to her spending. $13,000 gone in 6 weeks. Spa days, jewelry, designer bags. And guess whose name she used on the billing address? Mine. I didn't yell, didn't smash anything. I smiled, because now I had evidence. I started planting traps. Papers she could sign, access she thought she had. One by one, I unraveled her power without her noticing. Until the morning of the coffee. That was the day it all caught fire. And tomorrow, the ashes will spell her name. She came home late again the night before it happened. Hair tousled, cheeks flushed, mascara smudged just enough to not be innocent, but not enough for me to call her out without being labeled paranoid. Emily tossed her purse onto the counter, grabbed the wine bottle I'd been saving for our anniversary, and poured herself a glass like she owned the house, the room, the moment. "You're quiet," she said, not even looking at me. "Just thinking," I replied. Her laugh was sharp, dry. "That's dangerous." She took a long sip, walked past me like I was furniture, and headed upstairs to shower. I followed slowly, each step rehearsed in my mind. I knew where this was going. Her phone buzzed 3 times while she was in the bathroom. I didn't have to check it. I cloned it to my spare phone 2 weeks ago. I could see every message as it came in. "Marcus, I still taste you." "Marcus, let him ask. I'll be waiting." "Marcus, tomorrow? I want to watch you break him." That was the final nail. I told her the night before that I wanted to have breakfast together. I'd even made her favorite blend. Hazelnut, strong, the kind she used to beg me to brew when we first moved in. I sat at the table, waited. She came down in a silk robe, the kind she never wore for me anymore. Her eyes were cold. "So," she said, staring at me like I was a stain on the floor. I gestured to the 2 mugs. "Thought we could talk. I've noticed things." She cut me off with a scoff, walked to the mug, picked it up, and before I could say another word, dumped the entire steaming contents onto my chest and face. "You're a pathetic excuse for a man," she said, stepping back like she expected me to cry out. "Maybe you'll be hot once I pour this coffee on you." And that was the moment everything shattered. I stood there, coffee soaking into my shirt, pain crawling up my neck, my vision blurred from both heat and disbelief. But I didn't flinch. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. Until I saw him. Marcus walked into my kitchen like he lived there, leaning on the doorway with a smug grin and that same half-buttoned shirt he always wore in hotel footage. "Didn't think he'd take it this well," he chuckled. And that was the final switch. I didn't say a word. I took one step forward, just one, and it was enough. Marcus must have thought I was bluffing, until my elbow met his throat and his body hit the ground. Emily screamed. I didn't look at her. I stepped over him, opened the drawer where I kept the files, prenup, transfer forms, security footage backups. All labeled. Already. She started screaming about the police. I smiled. "They're already on the way," I said calmly. "Just like the ambulance. You should lie down." Her eyes widened when she realized I wasn't bluffing. When she saw the blinking red light on the corner of the kitchen camera, she tried to grab her phone. I already had it. She tried to run. I let her. She slipped on the spilled coffee, crashing to the floor next to her gasping lover. I walked out the front door, not even looking back. 10 minutes later, I was in my lawyer's office, signing the final document that made the house legally mine, and her a guest. But that was just the beginning. Tomorrow, she would learn what real pain tastes like. The ambulance came just as I pulled out of the driveway. I watched from a distance, parked under the shade of an old oak tree, the engine running and the AC humming. They carried Marcus out first, neck brace, blood trickling down his lip, eyes fluttering like he'd just woken up from a bad dream. Emily was next. No stretcher for her. Just 2 EMTs helping her stumble barefoot and soaked, shrieking something about pressing charges, about me being insane. I almost laughed. But instead, I drove downtown. Sean, my attorney, was already waiting when I arrived. "We're locked and loaded," he said, handing me a sleek black folder. Inside was everything. Video stills, witness statements from neighbors who heard her screaming threats, a log of her text messages pulled legally through a synced iCloud account, and a notarized document confirming the full transfer of property. "She's going to try to fight it," Sean said. "But she's got nothing. You're clean. She's cornered." "Good." Back at the house, the police were questioning her. I saw it all through the external cameras. 2 officers on the porch, one holding a tablet and showing her footage from my kitchen. Her face went pale, then red, then desperate. She tried to scream again, point fingers, say I planned it, that I provoked her. But truth is stubborn, and evidence doesn't care about crocodile tears. By noon, I had filed for divorce under marital misconduct. Because of the infidelity clause in our prenup, activated the moment proof of cheating was submitted, she wasn't just getting nothing. She was losing everything. The house, mine. The cars, mine. The joint savings, frozen. Her name, about to be attached to court records. She called me 5 times. I didn't answer. Then she texted, "Emily, please. We need to talk." I didn't mean for it to go this far. Far. She meant for it to go far enough to humiliate me. To sleep in the bed I bought with a man I'd never invited into my life. To pour coffee on me like I was trash. She meant all of that. She just didn't mean to lose. I let her stew for hours. By 4 p.m., she was at the front gate, pounding on it like a lunatic. Hair wild, face blotched with dried tears and old foundation. "You can't lock me out of my own house," she screamed. I opened the speaker channel. My voice echoed through the gate intercom. "It's not your house anymore, Emily." She froze. "You signed it over. You just didn't read what you were signing. Like everything else in our marriage, you were too busy lying to care about the details." "You tricked me," she hissed. "No," I said coldly. "I gave you rope. You decided to hang yourself with it." She tried threats, then fake sobs, then bargaining. I watched her go through the stages of grief in real time. Except this wasn't grief over love lost. It was power, control, the illusion that she could destroy a man and walk away unscathed. At 6 p.m., she left. Or rather, she was escorted by a police officer who informed her that until the court hearing, she was not allowed within 500 feet of the property. I slept well that night, not because I'd won, but because I'd ended something that had been poisoning me for years. And yet, I wasn't done. There was still one card left to play. One final move that would remind her, permanently, who she tried to betray, that I could have ended it there. I had the house, the evidence, and the legal high ground. Emily was out in the cold, both literally and figuratively. But I wasn't built to just walk away. Not after what she did. Because there was one more layer to this story. One thread she never expected me to pull. A week before the coffee incident, I noticed a name pop up on our joint credit report. E. Thompson. I didn't think much of it until I realized it wasn't Emily's card, it was her sister's. A card that had been inactive for 2 years. Now suddenly used to pay for an Airbnb in Miami, a designer suit, and 2 flights. I called the airline. One name matched. The other? Marcus. Emily had opened a secret line of credit under her sister's name. That wasn't just infidelity. That was fraud. I had the receipts, the timeline, the charges. I made a copy of everything and slid it across Sean's desk. "She's done," he said without blinking. "We're not just divorcing her anymore. We're burying her." Now I had options, and I wanted her to feel every one of them. The next morning, I sent her a text. Meet me at the park. 1 hour. Don't be late." She replied within 2 minutes. "Emily, please. I just want to explain everything. I was confused. I didn't mean to hurt you." Still playing the victim. Classic Emily. She showed up in a hoodie, sunglasses on, pretending she was some kind of celebrity dodging paparazzi. I was already sitting on a bench, calm, arms folded. I didn't offer a greeting. She sat down like we were old friends, like none of this had happened. "Look," she began, her voice soft, calculated. "What happened? It was a mistake. I felt trapped. You stopped seeing me, really seeing me. I just..." "Stop," I said. She blinked. "You poured scalding coffee on me, Emily. That was... And you laughed about it. In front of the man you were screwing behind my back. Don't pretend this was about emotions. This was about control." She tried the tears again. I didn't flinch. I pulled out the folder and handed it to her. "Open it." She flipped it open, her face shifting with every page. Fraud reports, the clone card statement, the booking logs, even a screenshot of her messages to Marcus. He'll never find out. I used my sister's info. Her hand trembled. Where did you get this? You'd be amazed what you can uncover when you finally stop loving someone, I said, standing up. You're not going to the police, she whispered, eyes wide. I leaned in. No, I'm going to give you a choice. She held her breath. You can walk away. No charges. No police. No jail. But you will sign over everything. Your shares in the business, your rights to the car, and an agreement that you'll never contact me again. You'll vanish. Quietly. Forever. And if I don't, she asked, then the DA gets all of this, I said, tapping the folder. You'll be in an orange jumpsuit by Monday. And Marcus? I'm sure he'll find another woman to hide behind. Emily went silent. Completely, utterly silent. Her expression told me she finally understood. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. And I was just getting started. Emily signed. She didn't have a choice. 2 days after our meeting in the park, she came to Sean's office with her new attorney, a timid woman who looked like she regretted taking the case the second she saw the paperwork. I didn't even look at Emily. Just sat across the table, flipping through my copy of her confessions, bank records, screenshots of texts, and the fraudulent card activity. By the time she signed the final page, her hands were shaking. Her voice, for once, was gone. She tried one last time to make eye contact. I didn't give it to her. She was nothing now, just a ghost of a woman who thought she could burn a man's life down and walk away smiling. But even though I had the legal win, I knew her kind. Emily thrived on attention. She craved validation like air. She needed people to see her, to admire her, to envy her. That's where I aimed next. You see, in our circle, she always played the perfect wife. Charity events, social brunches, influencer deals, all built on the lie of her ideal life. So I did the only thing that made sense. I ripped the mask off. It started with a package. She came home, wherever she was crashing at that point, and found a small, sleek black box on her doorstep. No return label, just her name. Inside, a flash drive. On it, a beautifully edited 5-minute video. No commentary, no narration, just footage, dates, screenshots, and silence. Clips of her and Marcus entering hotels. Her text messages laughing at me. Her signing fake documents. And finally, a frame-by-frame replay of her splashing coffee onto my face, smiling like a villain. At the end, just one sentence on the screen. You built your image on lies. I just showed the truth. That video went out to exactly 17 people. Her charity board, her brand sponsorship contacts, her old sorority friends, and her parents. Every single person who had ever told me, you're lucky to have her. One by one, her reputation collapsed. Her skincare deal? Dropped. Her brunch club? Removed her from the group chat. The influencer brand she cheated her way into? Issued a public statement cutting ties. But the final blow came 3 days later. Her mother, a cold and calculated woman herself, called me. I just want to say, she said, if I had known what she did, I wouldn't have let you marry her. That was the closure I didn't even know I needed. Not because I wanted their approval, I never did. But because Emily had lost the only thing that mattered to her more than power. Status. And she had done it to herself. All I did was hold up the mirror. But I wasn't done quite yet. Because there was one more move I had been planning. One that wouldn't just ruin her past, but rewrite my future. Something that would make her betrayal look like a footnote in the story of my life. She thought I was broken. She had no idea I was just rebuilding. People say revenge is best served cold. I disagree. It's best served in silence, when no one sees it coming. After everything, you'd think I'd want to disappear. Start over. Heal. But healing, for me, didn't mean therapy sessions or long walks on the beach. It meant building something out of the ruins she left behind and making sure she knew it. You remember the money she stole? The 13 grand she ran through in 6 weeks. Hotel rooms, luxury brands, gifts for her little side project named Marcus? Yeah, that money turned out to be the seed money for my empire. When I first discovered the affair, I wasn't just spying or gathering evidence. I was preparing, watching where she moved money, what names she used, how she covered tracks. It gave me a crash course in deception, and ironically, in business. So while she was too busy playing house in hotels, I was investing. A buddy of mine, Zach ran a startup focused on private data recovery for high-profile clients. It was underfunded, overlooked, and ready to explode. I gave him the cash she blew through our joint account. He gave me 48% ownership. 3 weeks after our divorce went public, the company closed a deal with one of the biggest cybersecurity firms on the East Coast. Our valuation jumped 7 figures overnight. I never even touched the bonus. I reinvested, doubled down, bought into 2 more companies. One focused on corporate background checks. The other? A marketing agency that specialized in public reputation management. You see the irony? Emily's reputation was shattered, her digital footprint stained. And now, the companies I co-own clean up messes like hers, for a hefty price. She tried to climb by lying. I rose by learning from her lies. And it was all legal. Every paper signed. Every contract clean. Every cent accounted for. But I didn't just stop at money. I bought the apartment building where Marcus was renting a unit. Quietly, through a holding company. Waited until his lease came up. Raised the rent by 60%. Then served him notice for failure to comply with tenant standards. He left with 2 trash bags and a broken nose. And Emily? She started working at a mid-tier clothing store 3 towns over. I know, because a friend of mine walked in and saw her folding jeans behind the counter. She was wearing knockoff earrings and smiling like nothing was wrong. But behind that smile, she knew. She knew the man she once mocked now owned companies, properties, and power she couldn't even pronounce. She knew the man she tried to destroy didn't just survive. He evolved. And all of it, built on the ashes of her betrayal. One day, I got a letter. Handwritten. No return address. I recognized the handwriting instantly. I don't know what you've become, but I hope it brings you peace. I never thought you had it in you. But maybe I never really knew you at all. I burned the letter. Not out of hatred. Out of closure. She was right. She never knew me. But now the world does. And I wasn't finished writing my story, yet it's strange how silence can feel louder than any scream. That's what I felt the morning I stepped onto the balcony of my new home, overlooking a skyline that didn't know my name 6 months ago, yet now held my fingerprints on more than a dozen buildings. The war was over. I had won. But the echoes still lingered. Not the pain. That faded the moment I watched her walk away empty-handed. Her pride as hollow as the apology she never truly meant. No, the echo I'm talking about is the memory. The way betrayal wraps itself around your spine and squeezes, not to break you, but to remind you that it once tried and failed. So what would I say to the next man, the one sitting in a house filled with doubt, seeing lipstick shades on wine glasses that don't match his wife's collection? The man watching his partner drift away one excuse at a time while he gaslights himself into silence? Here's what I'd say. Don't ignore your gut. It's not insecurity. It's instinct. The moment she hides her phone like it's a government file, the moment she starts dressing up for girls' night, like it's the Met Gala, the moment her laughter stops including you, and her touch becomes a transaction, that's your alarm clock. Wake up. I spent months pretending I was imagining things. I excused her absences, her temper, her little lies. Because love makes you stupid. And loyalty? It can be a slow poison when given to the wrong heart. But here's the truth. The moment she chooses someone else, emotionally, physically, spiritually, she already divorced you. She just hasn't filed the papers yet. So don't wait for the perfect moment to confront her. Don't wait until you're burned with coffee, humiliated in your own home, or mocked by a man who didn't earn a single brick of what you built. Prepare. Quietly. Observe. Collect. Document. Then strike. With precision, not rage. Revenge isn't about making her cry. It's about making yourself unshakable. Don't just survive her betrayal. Profit from it. Let it build you. Let it sharpen you. Let it teach you. Then build something so big, so powerful, that she'll choke on the dust cloud you leave behind. And don't forgive for closure. Forgive to forget her name. To bury it with the old version of yourself that believed love alone was enough to keep a liar loyal. Because what she tried to destroy, it wasn't just a marriage. It was a man. But I'm still standing. No, I'm thriving. And the final irony? The man she called pathetic now signs checks with more zeros than she'll see in her lifetime. The loser she mocked now owns companies that clean up the reputations of cheaters just like her. And the coward she tried to humiliate? He's now the nightmare she sees in her quiet moments. Not because he ruined her life, but because he rebuilt his without her. So here's my last message. Let her leave. Let her cheat. Let her lie. Let her show you who she really is. Then show her who you can become.